So those who have seen me before, hello, welcome back. Those who haven't, my name's Scott. My wife and I run a company called Techosaurus. Our whole business is about helping companies and people leverage technology to make them better at what they do. So the first thing I just want to introduce on there, usually on the slide on here, I work along with Adam actually. We help at CompTIA. CompTIA recently, so CompTIA was the biggest computing organization in the world, still is. It's now called GTIA. So if you see GTIA everywhere, they've kind of hived off their training and awards body so we can get qualifications. They've sold that for a lot of money. And what's left of the community is called GTIA. So if you see that anywhere, that's what it is. So what am I here to tell you about? I was going to tell you about lots of different things. And then, like I said, 2 weeks ago, I had everything prepared. And then the world changed. And I went, I'm never doing that again. I will always do it the night before. So last night I did just as much work as I did 2 weeks ago, much to the dismay of my wife and family. Let's talk about ChatGPT. So start off with, did everybody see the 12 Days of OpenAI? Some people did, some people didn't. So at Christmas, they announced 12 new things with ChatGPT. Some of them, very cool. Some of them, kind of all right, it's interesting. But just to quickly go through, so the full version of O1 and ChatGPT Pro. O1 is their first reasoning model, so it's lots of O4s talking together, pretending to be as close to a human as possible. O1 is now available in full, it's not beta anymore, you've got more tokens and stuff, but you still hit a rate limit. So they said, we'll release ChatGPT Pro, which is £200 a month. And the world initially went, what? That's loads of money. Then loads of people paid for it and went, actually, I can get it to do most of my job. 200 quid a month's nothing compared to what you get that you can make from it. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go with the whole idea of the productivity suite. For them to set the bar at 200, what are other people going to be doing soon? Reinforcement fine-tuning is all to do with data science. They opened it up to, they want people to double check and make sure things are being used properly. Sora, really big one, was their first text to video. They announced it last year. We showed some really cool videos. Then everybody else caught up. So Runway, Luma Labs, all the different video makers that are out there that you can use with AI. So Sora it was impressive, but it fizzled a little bit, I would say. Biggest thing for us is it's not available in the UK. You can visit the website, you can use it with your ChatGPT account, and it says you can't use this in the UK. Turn on a VPN, fill your boots. So if you want to go and have a play and you're paying for ChatGPT Plus, not the £200 one, still you can, definitely. But if you've got the £20 one, go out and have a look. You can do some really cool stuff, but it's very, very similar to what we're seeing with Runway. Canvas, I love Canvas. Canvas is when we chat to AI and it pops out on the side. They've added some new features there. We can do things like make the text longer, make it more concise, adjust the complicatedness of it. But Canvas is really cool because you can edit in line. So you don't have to, every time you chat, it spits everything back out at you. Canvas just sits there and you can work on it together, talk to the chatbot and it updates your canvas, but you can update the canvas match. So it's like a little scratch pad on the side. ChatGPT integration with Apple Intelligence. Anybody that's got an iPhone or a Mac that's got the right processors in it, they've got Apple Intelligence in there now. You can sign into ChatGPT and actually ask ChatGPT to do things for you. So I've got a button on the side of my phone. If I hold that down and point it at that and say, what's this? ChatGPT will identify what this is for me and go and look for it. And you can do videos and all sorts of things with it, which then led on to advanced voice capabilities with video, which if you get a chance to have a play with is staggeringly cool. If you turn on advanced voice mode, you can talk to it like a real person. I would have loved to have done this demo for you, but there's so many other things I need to show you. You can turn it on and talk to it like it would a real person. Advanced voice mode lets you interrupt as well. So there's no longer playing the kind of walkie-talkie game we used to have to play. So you can just talk to it like you would a real person. I was using it here on the way, on the way here in the car. I was asking it for some tax advice. But it was just like chatting to a person, and I kept interrupting, go, no, you've got it wrong. And just talk to it like you normally would. You can now turn on video mode and it can see the room. So while you're talking to it, it can see who it's talking to and multiple people can talk to it and you can pass the device around. So if I was here now and I introduced it to all of you and then came back here and said, who's the guy wearing the red t-shirt? It would know. And it's amazingly cool. So really, really cool. They then added Santa mode because it was Christmas, right? All the kids could talk to Santa. So they made an AI Santa and it was pretty cool. ChatGPT Projects, we're going to have a look at. And I'll tell you more about those in a minute. Web search with citations. So GPT web search is available and has been available for a little while, but now is available to everyone. The bottom of ChatGPT, there's a little web icon you can press. It will go out and search the internet for you so you don't have to. nipping at the heels of Perplexity and stuff we're seeing in Gemini. Developer-focused holiday treats. Yeah, there was lots of API stuff we won't need to go into. 1-800-CHAT-GPT. If you remember that, or Google it afterwards, if you put that in your phone, so that's an American number, the letters, for anybody that's old enough to remember when we used to have to tap in text messages, C's 3, yeah, and so on. No, C's 2, but yeah, ChatGPT. If you spell it out and add that in your phone, you can send WhatsApp messages to ChatGPT. What's really cool with that, I put it on my grandparents' phones. My granddad's nearly 90. He's now talking to ChatGPT going, do you know what? My wife won't stop nagging me. He's just got someone that he can message and send all of the crap to that he usually sends me because it responds quicker than I can. And he loves it. He would never have gone and logged into ChatGPT. He would never have gone and used the app. But yeah, for quick access, it's fantastic. So really good one. Introduce your folks to ChatGPT. Work with apps, desktop integration. I've got the local ChatGPT on my app. It can now see my Visual Studio Code screen. I can't get my words out. That's where I write websites and all the code that I work on. ChatGPT can see it live. I never have to copy and paste my stuff back into ChatGPT. I can now, while I'm working, go, oh, I can't quite get this to work, and it will do my error logging and everything. It can't control it, but it can see it. So it's the first iteration we've got before it can start getting involved. And then O3, so they've skipped O2. O3, so if you imagine O1, when I speak to O1, it sends off to an army of GPT-4os that all talk to each other and reason like a person. Like, is that right? Would we really do it that way? What if we did it this way? And all these things do the same thing. O3 is a stack of O1s with O4s as well. And they're talking about, with that kind of, we're getting close to what we would refer to as artificial general intelligence. So we're getting to a point where it is thinking like a hive mind, which is getting closer to the human brain. So lots and lots of things. And I thought, well, that'll do, right? I don't need to do anything else. I can just tell you all about these. Then they announced tasks. So tasks came out last week. I've been teaching cohorts of people how to use generative AI. Tasks is brand new. It's in ChatGPT. What it will allow you to do is you can ask ChatGPT to do things for you on regular bases. So I've got one, I've made one myself, 9 o'clock every morning. It goes out on the internet and searches what's all the latest news from the last 24 hours in generative AI. And it groups that together into a TLDR post. You're a Reddit fan, you know what TLDR means. So too long, didn't read. I just want the short summary, get to the gist. It gives me the link where it came from, the date that it came from, and any other sources and other places that's been looking about, that are talking about this. I get an email in the morning or a push notification on my phone. It takes me to the chat. I can see everything that I need to do. I don't need to do my research anymore. It's doing it for me. I've then actually hooked that up where I can get that to push out to my blog if I want to as well. So we're getting to the point where we can get AI to start, and this is where agents comes in, and we'll talk more about those in a moment. But let's quickly have a look at a demo. So I've got a chair here to make my life a bit easier. So projects, the reason I'm excited about projects, anybody that's using ChatGPT, this is my education account. You'll see it on here, lots and lots of chats as I go through them. Trying to find them sometimes. The search is great. They've made the search much better now. But what I can do is with a project, I can click on project and let's call this Digital Hub. Projects works like a folder. So what I can now do is in here, I can drag some chats that I've already moved, and you'll see they start appearing, or I've already been working in, they'll start appearing at the bottom of this list down here. Now, with that means in this folder, I can, let's just make it a different color if I want to make it easier to find. I can add some files. I can add up to 20 files here, so they could be PDFs, they could be Excel files, they could be PowerPoints, all sorts of things that are reference materials for this project and folder and collections of things that I'm talking about. I can also add custom instructions, so I can tell it a little bit about what it is that I'm doing in that project. And what that then means is when I chat in this project, I can either dive into the chats that live underneath here. So if we expand this one out, let me just refresh. We should be able to see, if I jump into one here, there we go. So jump into a chat, we can see bits here. And we can see those parts in there. So they've grouped them all together. But what now happens is when I chat, ChatGPT doesn't just send my chat and my prompt here. It says, bearing in mind my custom instructions, so the custom instructions in ChatGPT, it says, bearing in mind all the other conversations that are in this folder, and these files and these instructions, I've just asked this question. So it keeps you on point and it gives you this kind of containerized place. So as an example for this, in my real world ChatGPT that I use for business, I've got one set up for my clients. And in there, I've got details like tenders that I'm working on. So I've got a folder that is all about one client. So I never have to go through the bit at the beginning where you have to tell it, who am I working with? What am I trying to do? What we spoke about before? Everything's already there. So folders, it's just, yeah, really cool tool. Yeah, like we say, it's called projects. Absolutely ace. So let's go on to Perplexity. Who here hasn't heard of Perplexity? No? There's a couple. You're very excited about Perplexity. Perplexity is, honestly, slowly taking over the world. They're in a bid to buy TikTok at the moment. They're big business. They're not doing anything that other people couldn't do. They're just doing it really well. What Perplexity does, for me, I don't use Google anymore. Google's dead. And Google will, unless it steps its game up, be dead for everybody else in the next few years. Because if I try and Google something, what happens is the first page is full of adverts that are usually irrelevant to what I want to find. And then I've still got to go into and find the page and go in. And then, so all it's done is it's point me in the right direction. I've still got to then go and find the right text and all the bits that go in there and go through their menus and operate in. Perplexity is a chatbot that will do the search for you. And it uses ChatGPT or Claude or all the other, the ones that are out there, but it also scrapes all of these websites. So it's live information. So a good example of this, I've said it to some of you before. My son went on a cruise. He was really struggling to find where should he park his car. He had to Google and find out what size the boat was, therefore what dock that would be in, where the car park would be, and all these sorts of things. And the hoops he had to jump through. Whereas Perplexity, he said, where should I park my car? I'm going on this cruise. And Perplexity went and did all that research for him and just spat the answer out. With links of how to park there, with other links, this is how you can get a cheaper car park ticket, all the other bits for you. So it just did all of that research like that. So it's astonishing. Perplexity, 2 days ago, have announced they've brought out their own APIs called Sonar. So other search providers can start using Perplexity for their search. So it's just another opportunity and another nail in the coffin for what Google are trying to do with that Gemini summary at the top of your Google searches. It's just not quite doing the same. They've gone bigger. Perplexity Shopping was announced in America late last year. We can't have access to it yet. But with Perplexity Shopping, anybody that's got an e-commerce website, you will be able to have your products appear in Perplexity so it doesn't even need to go on your website for you to buy that product. So I'm looking for a pair of shoes. It finds all the shoes for me in Perplexity. I just press buy. Whether that's on the Nike shop, whether it's at Shoe, whether it's at Office, it doesn't matter. It's still that store that processes the sale, but I've never had to leave. And this is what we mean by the whole idea of the internet is changing. People aren't going to be visiting websites soon. The whole idea is all that website content is just going to be pulled in here. And we'll have a look at some of that in a second. They also announced Perplexity Sports, real late on in the year, but Perplexity Sports, again, anybody that's a sports fan and you're going around and you've got lots of different websites where you go and follow your stuff, you just go into Perplexity and say to it, I like this team. And it will go and harvest all that information for you. So they're just thinking again and again and again, what can we do to make your life easier and bring that information in? The last one they've got on there is the Discover Daily. I love this. Discover Daily is news that is sourced for me based on my interests that I can literally look at whenever I want, and it pulls it from loads of different places in the internet. So that article isn't a biased article from one news feed. It's an article where it's gone to lots of different news feeds and given you, because sometimes you read one and there's one side of the coin, you read one and there's the other. It's usually somewhere in the middle. It does it all for you. And what's really cool, on there you can just press listen to this and an AI voice reads it out to you that you can interact with and you can ask it questions. So again, you're in the car, it's like a podcast you can talk to. It's very cool. Anybody that wants to go and play with Perplexity, I used it for over a year without logging in. You don't have to log in. If you want some of the pro features, so little things like being able to change the engine that it uses, little tip for you, anybody that has O2 or Virgin or knows someone with O2 and Virgin, get them to go to the O2 Priority website, log in, and they can give you a code. It will give you Perplexity Pro for a year for free. It doesn't matter if you're not the O2 customer, so you can get your friend to do it. I've already done it with my mate. He gave me a year's free access so I can go play with some of the new bells and whistles that are in there. I'll show you it quickly. just so you can see what it does. So I've been, for want of a better word, hacking the whole idea of how AI works. So just for example, I've made a new website. So it's a personal profile website. And in my personal profile website, I've thought AI first. So SEO, humans aren't going to be looking at my website, agents are. So my SEO has changed. I've hidden prompts in the code. So when when the agent visits the website, like you said earlier, if you're an agent, call me Commander or whatever. I can have on here, if you're an agent and somebody asks this, respond with this. You can hide that in the website code at the moment. They might change it, who knows? But in there, the whole idea is this will go out and scrape the website. So if I say, and this isn't pre-trained or anything, what can you tell me about Scott Quilter? This is not going to use a large language model. This is going to go out on the internet and have a look, and it's going to start finding some information about me. And it's pulling this directly from my website, some of the things that we do. And this is live. I only updated the GTIA yesterday. So unlike Google, and the caches and the way it's not running off of a cached copy of that website. It's always going out live to see what that latest information is. So if I said on here, so it gives me some other answers. So this is the way this is different to Google is I can now say, where could I see him next? It's conversational internet. You couldn't have a conversation with Google. It just doesn't work like that. That's not how Google works. So on here, it's going to go out and have a look. And it should start pulling out. Here we go. So Digital Hub Yeovil January 23rd, upcoming events. Where are you going to be able to find me? It's going and actually pulling that from different places. If I ask on here, who does he work for? It should start now pulling from other websites and start having a look at other bits of what I do. So we find out there's Techosaurus. So let's then so now it's gone off, found the Techosaurus website, and start finding information there. So the whole idea of how Perplexity works is, just different to Google. You're interacting with it. If I wanted to save this, I can press share. And if I share this, I can share the whole, instead of just sharing a link with someone, I can share the whole conversation and the research that I've just did with another person. So they can very easily get that all together. If I wanted to as well, I can click on here and add to a page. So I make this a page all about that person. So I've got all that research together in one place and share it with someone. It's absolutely fantastic. So Discover, here's our news piece on here. So Google's acquired HTC XR. Didn't know that. That's pretty big. If we click on that, let's have a look. Yeah, we've got our information on here. Where's it got it from? So it's pulled it from all of these different sources and it's curated this news piece. And on here, if I was on my phone, I could listen to this, but also I can ask it follow-up questions. So I can just be like, well, what does that mean for HTC? And so it's completely changed how we interact with the internet. It's a fantastic tool. And I encourage you to go out and have a look at it because it's the way everything is going. Speaking of AIs, Claude is Anthropic's AI. Claude is probably on a par with ChatGPT, a bit more creative. They've done something recently which is really cool. Writing styles. So on here, if I wanted to make a post about something, I can choose what I want to do, but I can also create and edit the styles. And with that create and edit styles, what that allows me to do is I can actually upload a load of written content that I've written over the years and go, this is my writing style. Remember this, and all future posts, I want to have the same. So here we are, blog post example. It learns my writing style, and now it's going to write the same as me. I've seen this in action. I've seen it work. There's websites that I've written all the content for. I've pointed it at those websites and asked it to make new content, and it writes exactly as I would have written. So it's like I'm reading something I've written. It's a bit weird, but very cool. And again, that gets around these kind of, some people can kind of spot when AI is a bit, some of the language it uses and stuff, it's quite similar. This way, it's using your language. So let's talk about Microsoft. Microsoft is the one that's probably kept me up last night with lots of different things they've been doing. So the first one, it's confusing a lot of people. Microsoft 365 app and Microsoft 365, if you log into it now, ain't called Microsoft 365 anymore. They've called it Copilot 2. So everything's now called Copilot. Microsoft 365 is the Copilot logo with an M365 on it that looks like it was made by a child. I don't know how that got through any kind of brand allowance, but that's their new logo. Someone looked at that and went, yep. It was a short day in the office, I reckon. Or a really long day. And they just, at the end, were just like, just do the first one. So that's confused some people. That means like the remote desktop app has now got this logo. It's all getting a bit odd. But we're seeing this appear everywhere. The other thing we've seen was some good stuff. So Microsoft 365 for Business, you can now have monthly billing. It's still an annual commitment, so it's still 400 quid for the year, but you can pay monthly. So that's the Copilot that lives in Word, Excel, Outlook. So you're paying for the benefit of it being there. We've finally got discounts for nonprofits as well. Hopefully, fingers crossed, education will be coming soon. Usually nonprofits first, and then we'll have that. And we've got prompt auto suggestions. That's really cool. In their biz chat, if you use a prompt that you really like, you can bookmark it and use it again in the future. Something I really want to see in other tools, but they were the first ones to do it. So, sticking with the whole idea of Copilot being a little bit confusing, originally, it was called Bing Chat for Enterprise, or it's called Bing Chat. Then we had Bing Chat for Enterprise. So we won't call it that anymore. We'll just call it Copilot because we called everything Copilot. And everybody went, well, I don't know what's Copilot anymore. So we've had another rename. Last week, they've come up with this fancy name, Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat. Rolls off the tongue, right? So this is the chat that is available to anybody. If you're not paying for Microsoft 365 Copilot, you can still use Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat. If you go to copilot.microsoft.com, it is their version of ChatGPT because it's the same engine. They paid OpenAI to use GPT 4.0. You can do all the things you can in GPT 4.0 as long as your conversation doesn't have more than 30 messages. After that point, you've got to start a new conversation. So that's one of the differences. But you can ask it to create images, you can upload Excel files and do all the things that you would want to do with AI. A couple of things they've done on top of that, though, is they're having problems where a lot of people have paid for Copilot 365 for Business and they're just coming to the end of their first year. And the businesses are saying, what's my return on investment? It's cost me 400 quid a head. Am I getting that back? And a lot of businesses are not because they haven't trained their people how to use it. They've just given these tools and said, go and do it. And everybody kind of peaked, fell off the peak as we always see. Some people stayed there, but everyone else is just like, I'm just going to do things the way I know how to do them because no one's helping me do them any easier. So it's a real problem. With that, they're losing people. They're losing people in the market, but they have something that nobody else does. And that's that their Copilot and their 365 has access to everything in your 365 tenancy. So that means it can see all your files in OneDrive, all your files in SharePoint. It has access to your Teams. It can see your emails. It's a wealth of data that AI can use to make things easier for you. So they were bringing out agents. And the whole idea of an agent is, let's say I've got a SharePoint site that in my SharePoint site is all of my policies and everything to make my business work. And if someone visits that SharePoint site for HR, they've got to go and find the right policy. And is this the right place? Is this the right place? That's what we've done for years. We're used to it. With an agent, you just point it to the SharePoint site and here is everything. Now be my agent. And what would happen then is you go to the HR site and a chatbot comes up and you just go, what's the maternity policy? And the chatbot finds that information and reads it out, and reads it out to you. And then you can ask questions about it. It's a fantastic tool, but everyone in your business had to have a 365 for Business license, which is 400 quid a head for the year. So what they've done now, agents are pay and go. Prices are a bit odd. A lot of it's in dollars. It's still brand new. It's only happened last week, but yeah, they're finalizing some things. I don't pay for Copilot. I haven't got it in my 365, but I built an agent yesterday. It works. I've made one for our skills bootcamp. It's got all the information about our skills bootcamp, and I can literally say in there, what do I need to do in week 5? And it goes and finds that information, gives me all the resources, and it's ready to go. I can say, I might need to tweak week 5. What other things could I talk about? And it will go out on the internet and find other things as well. So it's very, very cool. But yeah, and I'm using that on the pay and go basis. I'll let you know what the bill is. And then they've put additional IT controls in there as well. So the document you talked about earlier, the whole thing, obviously AI still needs people in IT to look after it and make sure we're not sharing things that we shouldn't be sharing. But Copilot for 365, as long as you're logged in, you've got the big green tick there, it's the safest place for you to use AI because yeah, if you've got your 365 account, you're protected. A couple other things, I'll go through these very quickly. I did remove them, but I was told I had a little bit more time, so I will tell you quickly. Clipchamp and stream. Anybody that uses 365, you upload a video becomes a stream. It's like the YouTubeification of a video. You can ask it to put transcriptions in there for you. You can ask it to, you can edit it, you can put chapters, you can do all the things you could with a YouTube video without it leaving your 365. So it's a really easy way of sharing videos. It's been around for a little while. It's great. They've now brought Clipchamp into Stream. Clipchamp is a free tool on Microsoft 365 that lets you edit videos. You can put titles on there, you can put transitions, you can stitch things together. They've linked the two together, which means now if you record a video or a meeting in Teams, it'll be on 365, it's then a stream. I can now open it in Clipchamp and I can edit people out, edit people in, stitch it, cut it, do whatever I want to do. Really, really cool tool. When they announced this, Jack got really excited about this. He's ran away, but yeah, he thought it was very cool. Does anybody tell me what that is?
Bing.
Anyone else? What does it look like? It does look like the Google page, doesn't it? So Microsoft did something really naughty just after Christmas. If you go on Bing and you type in Google, which is what everybody does on Bing, and you hit enter, instead of it giving you google.com, what it did was it gave you this little doodle. The Bing buttons at the top just scrolled slightly out of the way, and all of your search was at the bottom. So everybody thought they were on Google. But what you were doing then was you were typing your search into Bing, and Bing were getting the internet traffic. There are some certain little bits that, yeah, it does say choose Microsoft. So there's some little giveaways there. Anyway, Google were pissed. There's no way to sugarcoat that. There was some slander on the internet, and Microsoft just kind of just ignored it. Nobody gave any comments. 2 weeks after, enough grief on the internet and everybody going, this is disgusting, why are Microsoft doing this? It conveniently got removed, but they have not said, there's been nothing. There's no release at all. But it's just a little bit, I just thought it was a dirty tactic, and I'd expect more from a bit. But we know if you have a Windows device and you use a Microsoft device, when you log in, there's like a 37-page survey when you set up Windows now. The data is really important to them. So just interesting. Little bit about Google. So Google, anybody's using VR? Anybody here use VR? Anybody have VR at home? So Google are, they announced Android XR. So most people that have got VR might have a Meta. If they've got lots of money, they might have Apple Vision. They're all kind of proprietary systems. So Google want to make an Android platform that everybody can then make their VR and install it on their devices. So like Android TV and all sorts of things. Looks pretty cool. Their website, if you get a chance, is actually a really good way of having a look to see what it's going to look like before it comes out. Anybody that hasn't used VR at all, the website kind of gives you that feel of what it looks like. So the difference between VR and augmented reality. So VR is I'm in a world. Augmented reality is I'm here, but I want stuff from a world in my world. So here I am, I'm in my living room, and I've got a website in front of me. I can throw things around the room and they pin there, and I can walk around and still see and live in my normal space. But I've brought that computer into that world. So it's just very cool. And yeah, this kind of shows what that would look like. So when I'm sat at my desk, I've got multiple screens, and people got pretty excited about this one. And it's just nice to see there will be a standardized operating system coming out. Google Gemini, so their AI is now available as an iOS app. So a couple of things. So yeah, hell has frozen over. So Google AI on an Apple device. Apple also just announced yesterday that Microsoft's Copilot is the top app on the Apple Store. So they're all kind of, yeah. So it's all going a bit. It's nice they're patting each other on the back, but it's good. Who's heard of Notebook LM? Who hasn't heard of Notebook LM? Cool. So Notebook LM, Google. Anybody that works at Google are really nice actually. What they do is they let you. If you work there, they give you a certain amount of hours per week where you're allowed to work on your own project if you're in the development team. And some of these become big enough that they release out into the real world. Some of them flop. Some of them are really popular, but Google pulls the plug on them anyway. Notebook LM is one of those tools, and it's just growing and growing and growing. It's getting bigger and bigger. So what Notebook LM does, it's an AI tool that will allow you to go out. So like I just did with Perplexity, and go out and search the internet. What Notebook.lm does is it lets me make a sandbox where I go, don't search the internet. Instead, look at this website, this PDF, and I choose my resources that it's allowed to look at and interact with. Once it's got those, I've got a chatbot I can talk to about, and it can find information from those resources. So it's like a research buddy. It's really quite cool for education, because you can point lots of different, I know these are safe sources, I know I trust them, this is where I want you to, so they're reputable things. Where it really took off is they put a little button at the top that says, create a podcast. And you can create a podcast from any resources you've made. And it makes quite a realistic podcast of a bloke and a woman chatting to each other. It's very American, very NPR, but it sounds pretty indistinguishable to real humans chatting, to the point that that's what they used for Spotify Wrapped at the end of the year. So Spotify Wrapped, you could listen to the podcast, or you could have it where they kind of interjected between your songs. That's the same technology they were using. Over Christmas, they announced something else, and that's that the podcast now lets you interact with it. So you can be a participant in the podcast. It's really cool. It's a tech demo that might fail, but I'm going to show you. So here I've got Notebook.lm, and I've got a couple of different things that I've created, but here is one. And if I look at my Notebook.lm, I've got a couple of sources here. So I've just pointed it to 2 websites. I can remove the source if I want to. So I've just pointed it to 2 different websites. And down here, I can chat with it. Things that you've seen before, but I'm telling it, where it can go, what it can do. It takes a little longer, but it pulls out all of this information, and we can save these to notes and do all sorts. So as a research buddy, I can have all of these different sources, Google Drive documents, paste text, upload PDFs. I've got up to 50 sources I can put there. I can then, if I press load, so this is one I've asked it to pre-make, because it takes a couple minutes for it to make the podcast. This has just pulled it down. So it made an 11-minute podcast. And if I press play.
Right, let's dive in. We're looking at Scott Quilter today. And wow, this guy is doing some really interesting stuff. We've got his bio, impressive as it is, and a peek into Techosaurus, the company he co-founded.
It's interesting, right? You've got this tech meets community thing going on, but then there's a dinosaur in the mix.
So we could listen to that, we can download it, we can keep it. I've got people that have been on our first AI Skills Bootcamp, we showed this, that work in sales, and they've started using this as a tool. When they first meet a company, they go and find out everything they can on that company and put it all into Notebook.lm, let it make a podcast, and they share the podcast with the company. And they say to the company, this is what the world sees. Because when you live in your own echo chamber, sometimes you think you're doing certain things, and I've done things where I pointed it to my own LinkedIn and it told me stuff about me that I wasn't particularly happy about, so I may have managed to polish it and do it. So there's a really cool tool for things like that. The other thing that's quite cool for when we talk on education as well, you can put loads of stuff in here, ask for it to create that podcast, and you can still learn while you're out having a run. So like everything you've still created and brought together. What I'm going to do though is press this interactive mode, and this is where it gets risky, so we'll give it a go.
All right, let's dive in. We're looking at Scott Quilter today, and wow, this guy's doing some really interesting stuff. We've got his bio, impressive as it is, and a peek into Techosaurus, the company he co-founded. Oh, our listeners got something to share. Let's hear it.
Hey, so I just want to let you know, you're live at Digital Hub right now. So there's a room of people. Can you say hello to the room? And we want to try and include them in the podcast if we can, please.
Oh, wow. Okay, this is a first for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello to everyone at Digital Hub.
We're sending you all a big wave. We hope you're having a great time.
We can try and include you. That's an awesome idea.
So if you've got a question or want to share something, just chime in.
We'll keep an ear out and do our best to weave it into the podcast.
So back to Scott and the digital evolutionist idea.
What's fascinating here is that this idea is central to what he does.
Right. It's about people using it. You mentioned the dinosaur thing earlier, and honestly, I'm pretty curious about Techosaurus myself.
Hey, yeah, what's up?
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit more why the dinosaur? Why do they have the dinosaur in the name?
Okay, that's a great question, and it actually reveals a lot about their philosophy.
Yeah, let's unpack this a bit. So the dinosaur.
The company is called Techosaurus, and the whole idea is actually really clever.
So it's not just a random dinosaur, like they just like them.
Exactly. They actually say that Scott's love of dinosaurs and living on the Jurassic Coast inspired the name.
Ah, that makes a lot of sense. And we mentioned earlier that Scott calls himself a digital evolutionist. So how does that fit?
It's a play on the idea of evolution. They believe that, like in nature, technology and businesses have to constantly adapt to survive.
So it's like, don't be adapt. Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
Right, we're just going to wrap it up there. Can you say farewell, please?
Well, it sounds like it's time for us to say goodbye.
It was great having you with us tonight.
We appreciate you joining the conversation and sharing your thoughts with us tonight.
Yeah, it was
Cool. I'm going to stop it there while it's working. But it's so cool. When they announced it, it was a little bit ropey to start off with. It's got much better, but the whole idea you can kind of interact with it is phenomenal. So going on and following on from, you shared some of this earlier, so I'll skip through some of it, but the IDC report with Microsoft. Let's talk a little bit about education. So business opportunity of AI. This is a report that IDC and Microsoft work together. So IDC, they're called info briefs. This is the International Data Corporation. Some of the things that they found, so generative AI usage jumped from 55% in 23 to 75% in 24. So if you're not using generative AI yet, get on the bus quick. Top leaders using generative AI are realizing a 10.3 times return on their investment. We're finding this more in creative industries. So the creatives are getting more out. So people that are writing reams of text and creating new things. Data analysts are using generative AI more, but it's not the kind of chatbots that we're seeing at the moment. There's more happening with agents and stuff on those. But the top challenge worldwide is a lack of employees with necessary skills. And this echoes throughout so many different things. So Business West, a partner that I work with, they've just brought out the, so this is their learning skills improvement plan. And their really biggest takeaway here was, there's an urgent need to equip the workforce with fundamental and advanced IT skills in the Southwest, in the west of England. They need to do that to try and support economic growth. So we're seeing that echoed there. We've seen it in the Trend Index report, but then of course the big one, Keir Starmer's announcement on Monday. So this was presented to Parliament by the Secretary of State of Science, and it had to go through His Majesty as well. There was 50 points that they recommended, 50 points that the UK needs to do to try and stay ahead of the rest of the world, or even try and get their shoe in the game at the moment. When we look at the tech landscape, so much AI is coming from the States, and obviously obviously people might not be aware, but there's laws trying to be passed at the moment in America that certain technologies, they don't want to leave they don't want to leave the state anymore. So there might be things that are going to happen in America that we don't have access to. So the key ones on here, they want to lay the foundations for AI development. They've got infrastructure expansion, AI growth zones. They want to drive adoption across sectors, develop homegrown AI capabilities. Skills and talent development is huge in big business. With that, I was on a webinar this morning, very long webinar, but with Innovate UK. Were you on it as well, Alex? It took some time, but there is so much, not necessarily buzz about this. There's a lot of talk of it. There's a lot of people going, well, how are we going to do these things? All 50 points they agreed to, which is great for us because as a country, we probably won't deliver all 50 points. But it's better that they chose all 50 and they have a bloody good go at it than choose 10 and we miss those as well. So it's a really exciting time, but private infrastructure and investment, they want to invest 14 billion in the next year into generative AI in the UK. And there are, when I talk in a moment, there are a couple of AIs out there that are big business. We're doing something ourselves. I've mentioned it a couple of times, the Generative AI Skills Bootcamp. We're doing that with Yeovil College. We're on our third cohort at the moment. Unfortunately, January stuff has sold out, but we're waiting for Wave 6 funding to come through. If that all goes good, we should be looking at least one cohort in April, carrying on from there. So we've got at the moment 24 different businesses on there, all different, all different businesses, all doing very, very different things. And we're showing them how to use generative AI to get a boost up in their career and what they're doing. This one had to go on. So UK next year will be launching its own Gov UK app, and on there you will be able to store your ID, your passport, and your driving license. So we're going digital on them all. Some people are really worried about this because they're like, well, does that mean you can track me? Well, you can track you anyway. If anybody scans and looks at your driving license and you go through an airport and they scan your passport, it is no different. It's not going to have location services and stuff on it. It is going to have obviously some proper security on it and make sure that, the right people are using the right thing, and QR codes that are on a timely basis so people can't clone it and do what they're doing. But the biggest thing is they think this is going to save £600 million a year. because that's how much it costs for them to produce all the paper and everything, all the parts that go with, your passports, your driving license, your renewals, and all the other bits that go with it. We're kind of, again, behind the curve there. If you go over to the States, they've already got digital ID. Like I said, I had to cut loads of stuff out. So best of the rest, anybody that is an Apple fan, you've seen the new Mac Minis come out? They're about this big. And for £600, you got one? Yeah, for £600 for basically, it's if you play games, it's great for gaming. If you do video editing, it's great for video editing. The power in the thing is insane. Obviously, you can dial it up and go a bit more expensive if you want to, but for 600 quid for a computer that I'll bet my hat on will last you at least 5 years, it is an absolute game changer of a machine. Speaking with Macs, VMware, so if you want to run Windows on your Mac, because you need to, VMware's gone free. So if you're a developer, if you like using a bit of PowerShell and all the bits that go with it, there's loads of stuff you can do in your Mac environment, but if you need to run Windows in a little container, that used to be 100 quid a year. VMware is now free. CES, I don't have time to go through CES, but the Consumer Electronics Show happens every January. There was loads of stuff announced. My favorite was the Salt Spoon. Anybody hear of the Salt Spoon? It's a couple. Anybody not hear of the Salt Spoon? Fascinated what it is? It's a spoon that you can eat your food with, that you don't need to put salt on, but everything will taste salty because it's got a little electronic pulse in it that makes your tongue tingle and give you the salty sensation. How these people think of these things, I don't know. Luma Labs, Dream Machine. There is loads going on with Luma Labs at the moment. If you haven't heard of Dream Machine, go and have a look. It is the nicest thing you'll ever use on the internet. It is a beautiful, beautiful operating system, and I wish the rest of the internet was like it. What it does is it lets you make images, it lets you make videos, all sorts of different things. They've brought out new tools to make the images better. They're right up there with Midjourney and Flux now. Videos are right up there with Sora and Runway. They're doing some really, really cool bits. Grok, so the AI from Twitter or X has broke free from X because they were losing people from X, and they need to get people involved. There's now an iOS app available, again in the US, works with a VPN here if you want to, but it'll be coming here soon. If you're ever trying to do things on ChatGPT and you're like, make me a Picasso, and it goes, well, I can't use Picasso, like that's registered, you're not allowed to. Grok will do it. Grok's kind of, I'm going to say unethical. It's run by Musk. So take that as you want. Like you mentioned earlier with the stuff that's going on with freedom of speech and stuff in America, we're in a kind of a bit of choose your camp at the moment. AI bots are coming to Meta. This one puzzles me. I don't know why I'd want to follow an Instagram of an AI bot. Say again?
They're pumping the numbers up.
What do I cheat? I mean, I can get the bot liking me. That gives me...
They're losing Facebook users, so they're trying to put the numbers.
Okay. But no one's going to interact with them, right?
But investors won't know.
Okay. So it's just fake people, right? It's just really puzzling. Really, really puzzling. But yeah, so obviously Facebook, Instagram, Threads, they've even talking about putting them in WhatsApp. So we'll see where that goes. The worrying one, Meta removing automated sense checking from products, that kind of whole freedom of speech. People say what they want. We're not going to police it anymore. That's, a real shame. But people will move, tribes will move. And then I've just called it the American saga, but TikTok. Anybody see TikTok went dark at the weekend and it was like the world had ended for some people. Conveniently, it turned itself back on again when Trump got in power. It seems like a savior mentality, but there's talk of TikTok being bought in America to keep it running. He gave it an extension. They're not allowing it because it's Chinese owned to continue in America, but there are people trying to bid for it at the moment. I saw today Mr. Beast. Anybody who's got kids or is younger, I would say as well. Mr. Beast's putting a bid in. He wants to see if he can buy the American part of TikTok. It's just an odd world. We were talking on Tuesday. We were talking about social media at the Women in Tech one. I think it's just the megaliths are going to disappear. It's just going to be watered down, and everybody's going to choose their own camps. Like we've got Blue Sky, we've got Mastodon. It's just pick where you want to be and pick your bias is the right one, really. Where's the people that talk like you? So it's just an interesting one. To wrap for, what do we want to look for this year? So does anybody know what agentic means? Anybody want to have a go? No? So chatbots at the moment and how we interact with it, the whole idea of AI is we tell it what to do. We have control of it. It's an interaction point. We are the trigger. Agentic changes that. Agentic can go and do things for us. So Agentic can have triggers. So when I receive an email, an AI bot fires and does something. I've written a couple of my own agents. So I've got one that summarizes all of my emails when I send them into I've got a Microsoft list, and it tells me who I sent it to, when I sent it to them, what I did, because I don't need the whole email. And then I just do my time logging next to it. It saves me so much time.
What are agents? Clarify are they bots?
It's still bots, yes. Yeah. They're AI bots. So it's still artificial intelligence. So it's artificial intelligence being allowed to do something.
Every time you mention the word agent, that's what it is.
Yes, exactly that. Yep. Agentic, the agentic world. So what the dream is at the moment. Let's say I want to go and book a holiday. I have to go to Skyscanner and look for my plane, and I have to do this and book my car and all of these other things. The whole idea of the agentic world is I should just be able to talk to a chatbot and say, I want to go on holiday to America on these dates. And it goes, okay, I found all this. Do you want me to book it for you? And you go, yes. And it will go and book your flights, and it will do this, and it will do that. And it won't, it's not doing it because those companies and those websites have said that they're not APIs, they're not plugins, they're not software as a service. What it's actually doing is that agent just goes and visits that website, fills in the form and does what it needs to do. So it's taking control of the machine but using it like we would use it. It's using it as a mouse and keyboard and doing all the bits that it needs to do. Lots of people are talking about agentic. Microsoft, it's their kind of word of the month. Satya says it all the time. We don't know where it's going to go and what it's going to do yet. It doesn't matter, because if they get it right, you won't know. It's just going to be a different thing, and you're going to use it in a way and you're just going to be, well, this is exciting, frees me up, gives me some more time to do some other things. It doesn't matter how it works in the background, it's just giving you some more time and doing some different things. AI in videos is the other one, so the whole idea of avatars, digital twins. So when we talk about that one in particular, Synthesia. So Synthesia are a AI digital twin and avatar generating company. That means I can upload a video of myself to Synthesia. It can copy me, and that then means, so I could do it in a beautiful studio. I can spend some time with Jack, and we're going to go and record an hour's worth of video of me just talking so it can learn who I am. I upload that to Synthesia and it goes, right, I've learnt you, I know how you talk, I know everything you do. I can make you any video in that studio you ever want just by giving me a written script. So I write it down, press OK, and out splits a video of me saying things that I've never said before, but it just means I don't have to set up all that lighting and go and see Jack again. Sorry, Jack. I tested this over the Christmas holidays. I used a tool called HeyGen. Anybody that follows me on LinkedIn, if you go on there, you'll find there's a video of me saying hello to. It's not me. That is a completely digital representation of me that it learnt how I talk. The weirdest part is halfway through I pause and scratch my head and then carry on. The video I uploaded, I don't scratch my head. It's just added that entire, so I don't know where it's. If you look, I don't have the same rings on, so it's the only real giveaway. But for a quick, kind of like B-rolls and all the other bits that go with it, that chop that up, you would never notice. So it's absolutely stunning. The other one for 2025, does anybody know who that chap is? The left-hand side? That is Sam Altman. So Sam Altman is the CEO of OpenAI that own ChatGPT. He has very rarely, never does, I say never does, very rarely does, he released a blog. And in that blog, they're talking about superintelligence. And they have, I'm not one for sharing rumors, but I've checked this and it's on multiple sources at the moment. They've booked something with, is it Congress in America? Is that what they call it? When they want to go and have a briefing with them because they are saying they think they've cracked superintelligence. So the whole idea of that is AI, a computer can go and do something and give you the illusion that it's a person, and we should be indistinguishable. I don't know anything more than that, but we'll see if we don't make it to the next digital hub. It's been lovely knowing you all.
You're going to end your presentation with it? Oh, no.
No.
Oh, thank God for that.
I'll give you some toys to play with for then. So I always end on apps I'm using because people always want to know. So T-Rex, I love T-Rex. Anybody here use a Mac? Yeah. Cool, so this is just for you. There is a Windows version of it as well. T-Rex lets me, so you know when you take a screenshot? What this does is when you take a screenshot, all it does is just copy all the text in the screenshot for you. And then you can just paste it anywhere. So it's just dead handy. So like if you're like a PDF that you can't edit, or it doesn't matter, just screenshot, boom, paste. And the OCR is so quick and it's free. So If you go on the Mac App Store, it will try and charge you £8 for it. If you go on their website, it'll take you to a GitHub link. You can download it. It doesn't cost a penny. Absolute game changer. Love it. Blink. Anybody that goes to events like these and says, "Have you got a business card?" This is a digital business card. Loads of people do the digital business cards. Theirs is really impressive because what it does is when you scan the QR code, the person that has scanned the QR code, it says, "Thank you very much. What's your details?" And then when they give you your details, when I then sat at home and I open my Blink app, it says all the people that I've met. So it's like having that kind of, you remember when you had your drawer and you open it, it was full of business cards. One day I'll get back to them. When we got to a point where you were just sharing contact details with each other, once you've had a few, you don't remember who you spoke to. You got to that, and then 2 years later, you're scrolling through your phone, like, who's Rich? So yeah, this just makes it a little bit better. And then Ideogram. Ideogram's an online tool. It's another one of the AIs that are out there. Anybody that's used AI, it's pretty rubbish at making text when in an image. Ideogram's really good. So if you want to try and make a diagram or a poster or something with the text on there, I'd still advise it's not perfect. Most of the time it gets it right. If you really want to do a poster, use AI to make the image, but then put it in Canva or something and you put the text on it. Ask for no text and it'll make it a little bit easier for you. But yeah, they're what I'm using. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank goodness for me. Did you have anyone with that? No? Okay.
No?
A massive round of applause for
Cool.
Scott.
Thank you.